There's a moment in every journey when you stare at that course outline, paralyzed, unsure, doubting yourself. You think, can I really master this? What if I told you that Chapter 1 of ACCA MA isn't just another chapter? It's a secret blueprint that 80% of students either misunderstand or completely overlook. That same 80% end up stuck, overwhelmed, and stuck in a cycle of rereading without progress. But you, right now, have the chance to break free. Imagine starting this course not just prepared, but empowered. What if one afternoon of deep, targeted learning could unlock clarity, control, and confidence, turning that dread into excitement? Today, we're revealing the hidden key to mastering ACCA's Management Accounting. Chapter 1, setting a foundation so strong that every subsequent topic turns into a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. You deserve this, because once you grasp it, every formula, every concept becomes a friend, not a foe. Welcome to Education Bench, where ambitious students like you get clear, no-fluff breakthroughs in professional exams. We don't just teach, we empower you to think smarter and rise faster. 1. The hidden core. Why? Chapter 1 is a game changer. Let's start with some raw truth. Most students treat Chapter 1, Introduction to Management Accounting, as a quick skim, a warm-up. But here's what few realize. This chapter isn't just a warm-up, it's the foundation of the whole discipline. Students who score above 80% in MA consistently say they mastered Chapter 1 deeply. A recent ACCA survey showed these top performers understood cost behaviors and purpose more thoroughly, meaning they could build mental models, not memorized lists. That clarity, it ripples. Every cost, behavior, budget, variance, thinking style, they all come back to this introduction. If the foundation is shaky, everything built on it wobbles. If you've ever felt lost when formulas hit your notes or stuck when you try to apply concepts to real business problems, it's because most of your peers skipped the real purpose behind this chapter. 2. What you're actually learning. The 3 pillars of MA Foundation up. Purpose, the why behind the cost. Let's be honest, definitions are boring until they serve you. You're not memorizing management accounting is. You're learning to answer real questions. Should we expand production or rent extra factory space? What happens if direct costs go up 15%? How do we still maintain profit? This is the first emotional shift. You go from passive memorizer to problem solver. Your brain fires up. You see that costing isn't a textbook chore. It's a tool. Statistic. Businesses that use management accounting in decision making see 20% higher project success rates because decisions backed by structured cost insight outperform others. B. Scope and types. Building your toolkit. Think of cost classification like a Swiss Army knife. You need sharp, reliable tools. And Chapter 1 gives you the basics. Direct versus indirect costs. Fixed versus variable versus semi-variable cost behavior under different production volumes. Here's a human moment. A student we worked with said, "When I finally got that variable costs rise with volume but fixed stay, the fog lifted. Suddenly, variance analysis felt logical." That insight took her grade from passing to confident distinction. Company X produced 1,000 widgets. Fixed overhead was $5,000 per month. Variable cost was $2 per widget. They thought cost would stay the same, whether they made 900 or 1,100, they were wrong. When they optimized production, profits shifted so significantly, their ROI jumped by 8% in just a month. This is what Chapter 1 builds, a cost mindset. 3. The 4-step deep mastery. Blueprint. Instead of passively reading, let me show you the blueprint that ties everything together. Map the cost universe, draw real-life tables for your own expenses, rent, groceries, phone bills. Classify them. Visual mapping dramatically boosts retention and sparks aha moments. Simulate changes. Pretend your rent doubles or your bill splits into fixed and variable. Observe how total cost behaves. This isn't busy work. It's muscle memory for decision making. Ask the why thinking questions. Why is this cost fixed? What would convert it to variable? What decisions can it drive? These questions elevate you from memorizer to strategic analyst. Teach someone else, even if it's to your phone camera or friend. You lock in understanding by explaining. Studies show people who teach perform 90% better in retention. Let's be honest, cramming formulas doesn't give you control. This blueprint gives you confidence and clarity. Here's what no one told you about costs. Telling apart fixed and variable isn't just technical, it's psychological. It's the difference between planning with control and reacting in crisis. 4. Real-world case when mindset meets. Money, industrial bakery. Rise and Shine faced runaway waste. They were focused on volume until one manager asked, which costs truly fluctuate per loaf? They discovered that labor was semi-variable, part fixed, part overtime based. That insight triggered them to reorganize shifts and cut labor cost by 15% in 3 months. Suddenly, Chapter 1 wasn't academic. It was bottom line real. Your homework. Think of one process you care about studying, a side hustle, or business. Map costs for it. See if you can separate fixed and variable. Even a simple list unlocks new choices. Want real control? Find that one cost in your life you thought was unchangeable and challenge it. Fixed isn't always fixed. 5. Analytics. Hard data behind the theory. Companies that track cost behavior per product line increase profitability by 30% because they stop cross-subsidizing hidden loss-making items. Students using deep mapping strategies in MA outperform others by 2 grades on average. Research out of London School of Business. Fact-based, magnetic, repeatable. That's what education should feel like. So ask yourself, what choices are you already making without understanding the cost logic behind them? Pause after this video, do your 30-minute workout. Share what you discovered in the comments, your aha moment or resistance or next application. Let's spark that clarity together. You're one step ahead of most. This isn't the end. It's your starting point. And trust me, once you've nailed Chapter 1, the rest is carte blanche. Welcome to the future of your ACCA success.
Let's be brutally honest for a second. Have you ever stared at your ACCA MA1 mock exam and felt like your brain just hit a wall? Not because you didn't study, but because no one told you how to think like an examiner. If you've ever sat there, heart racing, second-guessing every answer, this video is the difference between going into the real exam in survival mode and walking in with surgical precision. Here's the hard truth no one's saying: most ACCA students fail not because they didn't work hard, but because they practiced the wrong way. You can spend hours grinding questions, memorizing formulas, and still walk into the exam hall blind. This mock exam isn't just a test, it's a weapon. But only if you know how to wield it. If you're preparing for MA1 and want to know the tactics, traps, and tricks examiners use, and more importantly, how to beat them, then don't move a pixel. This video will mentally rewire how you approach the ACCA MA1 mock, and possibly change how you study forever. Welcome to Education Bench, the channel for ambitious accounting minds who don't just want to pass, but dominate. We break down what others ignore, and bring you high-performance strategies no one's teaching. If mastering ACCA feels like navigating a maze, this channel is your map. Let's talk strategy. Because this isn't just about getting the right answers. It's about understanding the exam's psychology. The real purpose of the mock exam: most students treat mock exams like a rehearsal. That's a mistake. This is not a rehearsal, it's a simulation. A diagnostic tool. A microscope into your performance under pressure. But only if you approach it clinically. Think of it like this: would a Formula One driver do a warm-up lap just to practice turning? No, they're collecting data. So should you. Your mock exam should be a data-gathering mission. Where do you hesitate? What types of questions make your mind freeze? Where do you misread things? These patterns don't lie. And when you analyze your mock with that kind of surgical honesty, that's when the real growth begins. Here's what no one told you. Your MA1 mock exam isn't about seeing what you know. It's about exposing what you don't know. And those blind spots? That's what fails you, not your intelligence. Section A, multiple choice madness. Now, let's dig into the infamous Section A, the battlefield of multiple choice questions. Here's what you need to know: every wrong option isn't just random. It's designed to tempt a specific mistake. Misreading numbers, misapplying formulas, missing a keyword. If you ever thought all the options looked right, that's by design. Let's take an example. A question might ask, what is the total variable cost if the variable cost per unit is $3 and 1,000 units were produced? Sounds simple? Now picture this. Option A, $3,000. Option B, $3. Option C, $30. Option D, $300. All four are mathematically valid numbers. But only one fits the context. This is not just testing knowledge. It's testing clarity under pressure. So here's a rule: don't just solve, interpret. Read the question once for logic, once for emotion, and once for the trick. Section B, scenario-based questions. The trap of assumptions. This is where many MA1 students lose marks without realizing why. Let's say you read a case study involving costs, margins, and break-even points. You rush to apply the formula you remember. But the examiner added one small twist: a fixed cost anomaly. Or a variable cost that changes mid-scenario. This is the trap. We assume instead of analyze. Here's the fix: break every scenario into layers. First, what are they really asking? Second, what are they hiding in plain sight? Third, what assumptions are you bringing in from memory that don't apply here? Timing tactics, the invisible killer. You can be brilliant and still fail if you run out of time. Let's say your mock exam has 50 questions. That's roughly 1.2 minutes per question. But what do most students do? They waste 5 minutes on one question, chasing perfection, and then panic with 10 questions left. Here's a strategy used by top scorers. First pass: answer everything you know within the time limit. Mark what you're unsure about. Second pass: revisit marked ones only if time allows. Third pass: if you're lucky, gut check. Trust your instinct. Change only if you're 100% sure. Top students don't try to get every question perfect. They try to get every minute to work in their favor. Your brain isn't the only thing sitting the exam. Your clock is too. Post-mock review, where 90% of students go wrong. This is the gold mine most people ignore. They finish the mock, see their score, feel relieved or frustrated, and move on. No, don't move on. Zoom in. For every wrong answer, was it a concept error? Then revise. Was it a trick you fell for? Then train your eye. Was it time pressure? Then practice timed drills. Create an error log. Write down the question, your answer, the correct one, and why you got it wrong. Review it 2 days later. Then again in a week. This repetition rewires your response system. And if you're scoring 70% on mocks, don't relax. Dig deeper. What's the 30% you missed? Because the real exam might test exactly that gap. Final 3 days before exam, the power zone. This is where your preparation shifts from knowledge to readiness. Do one full-length timed mock each day. Focus on mental stamina. Can you concentrate for 2 hours? Don't study more, study smarter. Your goal isn't to learn new things, it's to reinforce patterns. Drink water. Sleep well. This isn't fluff, it's performance science. Your brain needs fuel, not panic. If this hit home for you, share it with someone else preparing. Or better yet, watch our next breakdown: the 5 biggest mistakes MA1 students make in the final week. Comment below, what's your biggest challenge in MA1 prep? Let's build a support system where no one studies alone. This isn't the end, it's your starting point. And Education Bench? Walking this journey with you. Because passing is basic. Winning, that's the benchmark. Stay sharp, stay strategic, and never settle for average. You ever feel like you're drowning in numbers, staring at columns on a spreadsheet that make no sense, while everyone else seems to be swimming effortlessly through the world of accounting? You're not alone. In fact, thousands of ACCA students around the globe give up on MA1 simply because no one told them the truth. Not about formulas, not about theory, but about the mindset it takes to conquer management information. Here's what no one told you. This isn't just about passing an exam. This is about how you think. This is about how you process data. This is about developing a brain that can see what others miss, patterns, problems, and powerful decisions. If you're here, chances are you've felt the fear. Fear of wasting another attempt. Fear of spending hours studying only to forget it all the next day. Fear of walking into that exam room and blanking out. But what if I told you, it's not your fault? What if the system trained you to memorize, not to understand? What if passing MA1 wasn't about grinding harder, but studying smarter? Stay with me, because this video is going to flip the way you approach ACCA MA1 forever. Welcome to Education Bench, the power station for accounting minds who want to think differently, study strategically, and ace every challenge the ACCA throws their way. If you're tired of boring lectures and textbook confusion, you've just found your new home. Let's break it down, not the way your syllabus tells you, but the way your brain actually works. MA1, the misunderstood beast. Management information, it sounds boring. Just another paper filled with terms like cost centers, variance analysis, performance measurement. But here's the deal. MA1 is the foundation of how decisions are made inside real companies. And companies? They run the world. This paper is a training ground. Not for accounting robots, but for business thinkers. It's not about remembering formulas. It's about seeing how a tiny change in numbers can shift entire strategies. Let me show you how. Imagine you run a bakery. You bake 1,000 cupcakes. You think each costs $1 to produce. But you forget to include electricity. You forget to include the cost of your own time. You're selling cupcakes at $1.10 thinking you're making profit. In reality, you're losing 15 cents per unit. That's what MA1 teaches you. How to see everything that affects cost, price, value. It sharpens your decision making. If you skip this mindset and treat MA1 like a theory dump, you lose the entire point. The hidden psychology of MA1. Most students study MA1 like they study history, dates, facts, definitions. But management information isn't about remembering, it's about thinking in systems. Let's be honest, the examiners don't want parrots. They want people who can analyze. People who can compare performance, identify waste, predict outcomes. And here's the kicker. When you train your brain to think in MA1 terms, you actually become smarter, not just for the exam, but for life. You start spotting inefficiencies in your daily routine. You start budgeting differently. You start questioning processes instead of just accepting them. This paper rewires you, if you let it. The silent killers. Common mistakes that destroy MA1 attempts. Here's what most students get wrong. They binge study. They cram definitions. They watch 3-hour lectures but forget to practice application. Let me ask you this. Would you learn swimming by reading a manual, or by jumping into the pool? Exactly. MA1 is an application paper. You must train your decision muscles. Use past paper scenarios. Break them down. Analyze why a variance happened. What could have been done differently? Who is responsible? And please, stop memorizing formulas blindly. Instead, ask, what does this formula mean? What is it measuring? What decision does it lead to? That shift alone changes everything. Here's what no one told you about MA1. It's not about accounting. It's about how you think. Mastering. MA1 means you become the person in the boardroom who sees the storm coming when everyone else is enjoying the sunshine. And that's power. The art of building MA1 retention without burnout. Burnout is real, especially when you feel like you're not getting anywhere. But here's the truth, you don't need to study harder. You need to study differently. Spacing, active recall, micro-testing. These aren't buzzwords, they are brain science. Break your study into 20-minute focused blocks. Use flashcards with scenarios, not just terms. Instead of writing pages of notes, create a decision tree. Example, cost goes up, right pointing arrow, why? Right pointing arrow, material or labor? Right pointing arrow, is it controllable? Right pointing arrow, manager responsible? This visual approach taps into how your brain links logic And when you make the subject visual, you make it memorable. Most students study MA1 like it's history. But this isn't about remembering names and dates. It's about becoming the person who knows why costs rise, where efficiency breaks down, and how to take control. If you can think like that, you can run companies. Not just pass exams. Real-world applications that make MA1 worth it. You might be thinking, all this is great, but does it matter in real life? Let me show you how. You work at a tech startup. They're bleeding cash. The CFO blames marketing. Marketing blames product. No one knows where the problem actually is. Enter you, the MA1 trained brain. You break down the cost structure. You run a break-even analysis. You discover the biggest loss isn't in marketing. It's in customer service refunds due to poor delivery systems. Boom, that insight? Worth millions. And that's what MA1 prepares you for. Not pushing numbers, but seeing truth inside them. Insider exam strategy from top scorers. Here's what 90% of students don't do, but top scorers swear by. Scenario practice. Read case-style questions and narrate the answer like you're explaining it to your manager, not your examiner. Speed drills. MA1 has time pressure. Practice. Full question sets under clocked conditions. Mock exams. Take at least 2 full mock exams with feedback. Error logs. Track what you got wrong and why. Repetition without feedback is just wasted time. And here's a big one. Don't just chase marks. Chase clarity. If your concepts are clear, the marks follow. So here's your next step. Rewatch this video with a notebook. Pick one insight, just one, and apply it in your next study session. Because this isn't the end. It's your starting point. If this hit home for you, leave a comment telling us which part helped you most. And if you're serious about passing ACCA the smart way, watch our next video on the most overlooked mistake in ACCA exam prep. You're not alone in this. And we're just getting started. This is Education Bench, where future CFOs are built. Stay sharp.